If you've ever played any kind of strategy game or sport, whatever the case is, you'll know that sometimes you need to, like, the best way to play offense is to play defense, and sometimes the best way to play defense is to play offense, right? So, what happens is you kind of let the people beat you for a little bit, and you just kind of open yourself up to the opponent, and you let yourself be almost you know taken with for any particular reason, so that you can see their weak spots or their blind spots or whatever the case is. It's like chess, for example, right? Sometimes there's a reason why in chess the pawns go first. Is there's some kind of sacrifice that sometimes need to be made. What we understand as full Sakian men, that these men who are crashing out because of the mate guarding don't, is that the men that are crashing out are over this mate guarding stuff. They're trying to defend things all too quickly for no real reason. They're trying to just make it seem like what they have. No, this is like they're trying to play the short game of attack and defend rather than seeing what exactly is going on. Like, if you as a man, not even a man, if you're a male and you are this upset about, a woman looking at me, or another woman, or your woman looking at any other man, and you're this upset at, like, the man, you need to take a good hard look at, like, I don't know, your woman. Because that's not your woman, man. It's not your woman. She was never really yours to begin with. Now, this is something that a lot of men who crash out don't want to hear. They don't want to hear this because they have not yet lived beyond the attack and defend mode. The men who are full Sakian men, who are participating in godlike mastery or regal academia, they are the types of men who have seen the glimpses of timelessness beyond, and they see the women all around them in some way, shape, or form as the archetypal mother that is nourishing and giving this opportunity for life to be born. Now, of course, a lot of men may ask, well, what exactly have women given us? Well, women give, you could say that women give us babies, but even then you need the man. Otherwise, you need each other, right? This is one thing that I really think that the gender war that we are experiencing in the spirit of the time is really hindering our own sense of understanding one another. And this understanding one another is only derived from orienting ourselves from a place of timelessness, seeing beyond the war and seeing beyond the entirety of whatever it is. I mean, the thing that we are experiencing now when it comes to the gender war is a manifestation of shadow work not being done. It's essentially a non-integration of the unconscious, because the more you integrate your unconscious individually, the better your relationship will be with members of the opposite sex. And this is also something that many men do not want to hear, but in my experience, even though it's not necessarily a virtue to be the type of man that a woman would want to leave her family for, let's say, because Women in the past, I've had so many women. One of the reasons why I don't really trust women, generally speaking, because I do have love for women, but I don't really trust them because their actions never really match their words. Because how are we supposed to see beyond the complexity of an individual if their words and their actions don't match? It's like you're even more complex now than you were before, and we're all complex. But if I can't even see that your words are going to match your actions, there's no way that I'm going to be able to actually work with you in any way, shape, or form. It's going to be superfluous ultimately. And the voluptuousness of the women and the entitlement of these women to have the gall to suggest that we as men need to just read their minds and whatnot. Like, look, telepathy is real. And as a shamanic practitioner who encourages godlike mastery in the physical, emotional, and spiritual domain, yeah, telepathy is real. All of these teleportation, telepathy, these are all forms of consciousness, planes of consciousness layered on top of one another. Now, how it manifests is a matter of realness. Now, just because it's real doesn't mean it's true, right? Because if you're familiar with the Regal timeline theory in my work, the Regal timeline theory suggests that which is real is not necessarily true, but that which is true is always going to be real. So it can be real that you experience a delusion. Like most of these men who are crashing out over the mate guarding, they're experiencing a delusion, but it's real for them. It's real for them because they truly think and they truly believe in the manner of which their woman is an angel. That their woman's an angel. She could do no wrong. All this stuff. And yet, in my experience, I've had more women, and this is just an empirical fact that men have to go through as they mature. They will realize that married women or women already in relationships are much easier to get with than any single woman, because you're forbidden fruit and she herself is forbidden fruit, and they want the ego boost and the validation. Like, I cannot tell you how many times this has happened. Even when a woman has told me she's single and she's married. This has happened over a dozen times in the past 4 or 5 years. This is why I just don't generally trust women, because, again, their words and their actions don't really match. And men whose actions don't align with their words, I have little tolerance for these types of individuals. And this is why it's so vital as a full Sakian man to be endowed with knowledge and wisdom in the art of war, or in the art of just fighting in general. I mean, strategy, Machiavelli, the full Machiavellian domain is important to distinguish here, because you have to learn how to be calculated sometimes. Jung talked a lot about how the trickster is the precursor to the savior. Okay, and the trickster is above and below the threshold of anything, really, because with the trickster, what the trickster does is the trickster fights for the ability to make anything funny. It's not necessarily about making a specific thing funny. It's about being able to make anything funny. That's the whole point of the trickster. But the men that are crashing out, they have only experienced the shadow of their trickster and the shadow of their own hero, because they're so wanting to be nice. They're so wanting to be likable. They're so focused on being likable that they forget their own manners. And that's really dangerous as a man. Because don't get me wrong, it's important to have social intelligence. In fact, when it comes to intersexual dynamics, women, if they're physically attracted to you, will look at certain parts of you to see and determine if you're strong and physically healthy, etc. But more so than that, women will be very meticulous in how she'll watch you. You know, women will watch you from afar for a while. You might not even know that she's watching you, but she'll be watching you, and she'll kind of watch how you do things. And if she likes the way that you do things, and that's going to incite this this exotic excitement in her. But the issue is that a lot of these people in themselves are just not integrated psychologically. And so this is where the full sack philosophy of no philosophy comes into play. Treat everything as a system to help you get out of systems. Like the matrix truly is inside your mind. The universe, the multiverse, whatever you want to call it, it does not happen outside of you. It happens inside of you. And so this is why when it comes to mate guarding, men who are not integrated psychophysiologically are going to have they're going to have a really difficult time. Like, okay, for example, in my practice of godlike mastery, the Regal Academy, and being the godlike mastery education for Regal Academia, all of the people that I've worked with, and I've worked with hundreds of people across the globe. I was going to say the globe, but I'm not really, I'm not convinced it's a globe, but that's a whole other topic. You know, I don't really care. I don't care if we live in a flat earth or not. It really doesn't affect the way that I live and the intuitive and instinctual processes in which I observe my reality. So anyway, that's a whole nother topic, but I don't want to get into the debate there. But around the world, around this earthly plane of consciousness, I've worked with hundreds of people, and I can say with absolute certainty that generally speaking, men are way more hard on themselves than they are on other people. And women, generally speaking, expect more from other people than from themselves. Now, women also have great insecurities that they will not like to disclose. And it's only the women who are truly devoted to being whole that I've seen and I've worked with. And I've worked with, as far as women goes, I've probably worked with at least 50 or 60 types, different women around the world at this point. And they're all different types of people, right? Like men and women, it's probably about over 550 to 600 men, and yeah, about 50 or so women. And I've only seen like 5 to 10 women. One of them I'm currently working with in the Godlike Mastery offer, and I've only seen one of them who really, she is so intuitive. She's one of the most intuitive people I've ever met. She's so intuitive, and she she really wants to be devoted to God, the soul of existence. She really wants to. And she's doing everything she can to devote herself to that. But she's also not being super hard on herself. She's aware of this, and she's balancing that. Men, on the other hand, men can be so hard on themselves. And I think this is one of the reasons why psychophysiologically they crash out more so than men or women when it comes to intersexual dynamics. I mean, the rate of suicide, for example, is much higher for men due to, well, the logical reasoning behind it is not totally clear, according to the studies that I have seen. But generally, A lot of it is due to not being able to have a mate. And that kind of loneliness can really inflict spiritual wounds on a man to the degree in which he would take his own life. Now, I do not know any reason on why you would take your own life ever. Like, I've considered suicide, but not because I'm suicidal, not because I'm like, oh, I'm suicidal. It's because it's just like, I mean, if this is all, like, if life, it just is, what exactly is the point of living? Like, why do I have to live? Do I have to live? These are the deep kinds of questions that many people, like the men who are just totally insecure about, mate guarding, they don't even think about this type of stuff, because to think about it would be to confront the deep rooted questions of, the avalanche of existence that's just crashing over them. So this avalanche of existence that's crashing over people all the time, people are just really good at hiding it. That's really what I've determined is people generally are just better at hiding it than other people. And I also learned this from David Goggins as well. He said everybody's fucked up. Some people just hide it better, and that is just like chef's kiss. I'm not saying that I want to be like David Goggins, but I totally respect his work and what he's done. And he helped me out of a very dark place one time. I mean, his book, Can't Hurt Me, was one thing that I really, I was inspired to get deeper into my own self and really start doing the hard work, right? And now I've completely taken a different approach, and I'm aiming to at least be that zest and just be the help and be the healing for people. In my own book, I'm currently writing a book about the Regal timeline theory. Again, I've got the Godlike Mastery. I've got the Regal Academy. There's so many different avenues for help available for people that really want to grow. And it's all about how much you want to invest in yourself. Do you want to be like the men who are crashing out, and they're just so consumed with thinking that woman who isn't even their woman is part of their life, like so much to the degree in which it's like, oh, just the sun rises and sets with her, man. Like, remember that was in the movie Heat. One of the characters, I don't remember the name of the character, but he said the sun rises and sets with her, man. And that's all sweet and dandy and fine. It's great to love somebody that much, but man, I have never seen a relationship work out where the man loves the woman more so than the woman. Because guess what? In that movie Heat, guess what the woman does to that guy? She cheats on him. Like, you can't make this up. So by the end of the movie, she shows her loyalty once more. But, I'm not going to spoil it too much or anything, but for the people that haven't seen it. But it's just like, if you look at all of these movies too, they're all glorifying cheating. All of the romantic comedies for women, they're all glorifying cheating. If you even look at Twilight, the reason that Bella is so enamored by Edward is because he's a fucking monster. I mean, that's she's like, oh, he hates me. Well, I must have him now. And then she realizes that, oh, he's a monster. Oh, but he's so sweet. He has a soul and blah, 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 blah. And then she uses Jacob for like a year or whatever after Edward leaves her as like a placement holder. And then she has the audacity to be like, oh, I love you, Jacob. I love you, but not like that. Man, and Bella freaking, she's not even, gosh. Anyway, Twilight was such a weird movie. It's interesting because I really was fascinated with I found the wolves and the vampire lore to be way more interesting than the stupid love story. Like the lore of the vampires and the werewolves was super cool actually. I actually really liked that. But I really didn't care for the love story because it just glamorized this cheating aspect. And if you look at all the rom-coms, that's all that it is. It's bizarre, you know. It's really bizarre. And we just have to accept that as men, that's the shadow fantasy of a woman. She wants to be, taken away by Don Juan, so to speak. Or what is the name of that super seducer? Well, this is what Casanova did too. If you've ever read The Art of Seduction, which I've done a class in the art of seduction in the Regal Academy, but The Art of Seduction, if you read about Casanova and the way that he would, court women, he was very flamboyant. He was like the perfect ideal lover. He was the ideal lover. And he would purposefully take these young women, not only just single women, but women in relation. Like, he didn't care. But he would wear these extravagant things and he would be, oh, I'm so jealous. Like he would play into the jealousy to make the woman want him more. It was just, so bizarre, these intersexual dynamics. But psychophysiologically, the best thing to do is for men out there, if you're just kind of wanting peace, it seems to be the case that having a full sack is the best way to go. Because all these people are gangster until you with the full sack walk into the place. And then all the men are mate guarding, all the women want you. And I'm speaking like generally speaking, okay? Because you have to still work on yourself. Like, it's not just the full sack. It's just the whole energy, the whole thing, the whole discipline that you embody, right? But yeah, man, this is just, it's just a bizarre time to live. Wow, I really didn't think I had, too much to say on this topic. But this is one of my longer videos, so alas, here we are. Cheers. So, apply to the Godlike Mastery offer if you're wanting that full transformation. It's time to invest, man. If you really want that investment, it's time to invest in yourself. You're never going to forget that. You're never going to not get value from investing in yourself. Or you can join the Regal Academy. Right now, in the spirit of the time, it's only $7 a month for the standard tier. It's $35 a month for the premium tier. And that's where you have more access to classes, as well as their group calls every single week. And additional exclusive videos. So, peace be with you. Be blessed. Until next time.